Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Monday the 10th of October 2022. I'm Sean Aylmer. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Let's jump into it. Story number 1. It was a rough day in equities. The ogre of a world recession is weighing on shares. The S&P ASX 200 closed the day down 1.4% to 6,668 points, led by a sell-off in technology stocks and utilities. About 90% of stocks went backwards today. The banks were all down somewhere between 1.5% and 2%. CSL, Goodman Group and WiseTech Global all fell around 2%. REA Group tumbled more than 5%, while the gold companies also lost ground. Newcrest finished down 3%. The standout performers were the big 3 miners, led by Fortescue. Coles Group also ended the day in the black. In corporate news, Tabcorp added nearly 3% after announcing it will invest $33 million for a 20% equity interest in digital wagering platform Dabble Sports. It was the best performer on the day. Payments company Tyro increased its full-year guidance after a strong first quarter and progress containing costs. Its share price jumped 1.4%. Gold Road Resources fell 6% after reporting its gold production for the September quarter. Pushpay Holdings' share price jumped 5% after it confirmed that private equity group BGH Capital has made a $1.2 billion takeover bid. Now, you may not know Pushpay. It operates donor management systems for charities operating in the US. Story number 2, defence spending is likely to come under the microscope in the upcoming federal budget, with outlays set to hit $80 billion a year by the end of the decade. That's much more than the current figure of $50 billion, and in part is due to the cost of nuclear-powered submarines acquired under the AUKUS agreement, also because of an increase in military personnel and support for Ukraine. According to the government, the Australian Defence Force currently has 28 major projects running behind schedule, with cumulative delays of 97 years. The government will create an independent projects and portfolio management office within the Department of Defence to provide more oversight of major spending initiatives. Story number 3. Singtel says a second of its Australian companies has suffered a serious data breach, comprising sensitive details of up to 20 clients and 1,000 workers. This, of course, weeks after the breach at Optus. The breach at IT services consultancy Dialog, which Singtel bought in 2020, will raise the pressure on the Singaporean tech giant. Singtel said there's no evidence that the two breaches were linked. Story number 4. Andrew Liveris, former boss of Dow Chemicals and advisor to Donald Trump on manufacturing, appeared today at the Financial Review Energy and Climate Summit. The Darwin native has become a big proponent of manufacturing in Australia. He said the world is going through a decade of realignment of geopolitical connectivity. In this environment, Australia should be trying to convince companies to build semiconductor chips locally. He also called for a price on carbon. And story number 5, the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv is under attack as we go to air, with several large explosions heard in the centre of the city. Residents reported the sound of incoming missiles, and Twitter and other social media users reported plumes of smoke rising in the centre of the Ukrainian capital. The blast came a day after Russian President Vladimir Putin accused Ukraine of terrorism after an attack on a bridge linking Crimea to mainland Russia. That's it for the afternoon report for Monday, the 10th of October, 2022. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.